Venera 13 drops through the thick Venusian haze and reaches the surface. The clock is already working against it. Engineers expected the probe to survive about 32 minutes on the surface. Then, the clock keeps running. Then something strange happens. Color images begin arriving from the surface. Telemetry keeps flowing. The mission timer pushes forward toward the point where everyone expects failure. 32 minutes pass. Nothing fails. The predicted danger point comes and goes. Venera 13 is still operating. And now, every additional minute is unexpected. The timer keeps climbing. That changes everything. A survival estimate is only useful until reality ignores it. As Venera 13 keeps transmitting beyond the expected limit, confidence in the prediction starts to collapse. Mission Control no longer knows exactly how much time remains. Every new signal could be the last one, yet another arrives. Venus was supposed to be counting down the spacecraft's final moments. Instead, the countdown has become unreliable, and no one yet knows why the planet has not finished the job. Now Venera 13 does something even harder to explain. It does not just keep surviving, it keeps working. On the surface of Venus, the spacecraft begins carrying out major tasks. A drill arm moves into the ground. Soil is collected and analyzed. New scientific measurements continue appearing back on Earth. At first, it is tempting to treat the extra time as luck. Maybe the spacecraft simply received a few unexpected minutes before everything stopped. But that explanation starts to fall apart. The drill completes its work. The analysis succeeds. Multiple instruments continue operating beyond the minimum window anyone was counting on. A robotic arm reaches into Venusian soil, while fresh measurements continue arriving. The spacecraft is not sitting quietly and waiting for the end. It is actively completing mission objectives. That changes the stakes of every passing minute. Each successful measurement becomes information that may never be recovered again. Every new result adds value. Every image, every reading, every completed operation increases the cost of losing the spacecraft. By now, survival can no longer be dismissed as a fortunate delay. Something is keeping Venera 13 productive on a world that should already have stopped it. And whatever that reason is, it has not revealed itself yet. The answer seems to be sitting right in front of us. Inside Venera 13, layers of protection stand between the spacecraft and the Venusian surface. The focus shifts to the Venera 13 pressure vessel and cooling systems. Cutaway views reveal one barrier after another, separating delicate electronics from the furnace outside. And the evidence appears convincing. The spacecraft is still operating. The drill has worked. The analysis has worked. The mission is still producing science long after many expected it to be silent. The machine was built for exactly this fight. Heavy thermal protection surrounds the spacecraft. Cooling systems delay the effects of the environment. And at first, the explanation seems complete. Venus is brutal. The engineers expected that. The protection appears to be working. Suddenly, the mystery seems much smaller. A robotic spacecraft survives Venus because engineers anticipated Venus. The protective systems hold back the environment. Surface operations continue successfully. Scientific instruments keep working. For the first time, uncertainty gives way to confidence. Maybe there is no mystery after all. Maybe Venera 13 is still alive because its designers built a machine tough enough to beat the planet. Then the telemetry starts telling a different story. Inside Venera 13, the Venera 13 thermal condition is not holding steady. The spacecraft continues working. Surface operations continue. scientific data continues arriving. But the internal readings keep moving in the wrong direction. The temperature does not level off. It does not settle into a stable operating state. It climbs. And that changes the meaning of every successful minute. New measurements arrive. More mission objectives are completed. Images are still coming back. But none of them mean the danger is gone. That detail changes the meaning of everything. If Venus had truly been defeated, the spacecraft should eventually reach a condition it could maintain. Instead, the evidence points in only one direction. The trend never flattens. The environment is still pushing inward. The spacecraft is still losing ground. Now, every successful minute looks different. Each new transmission is not proof that the danger is gone. It is proof that the remaining time is being spent before conditions get worse. Every scientific result becomes more valuable because the window is shrinking, not expanding. The spacecraft survives for more than 2 hours, nearly 4 times longer than the original estimate. Then the climb reaches its conclusion. The internal temperatures continue rising until communication suddenly stops. The protective systems worked. The mission succeeded. But the telemetry reveals a harder truth. Venera 13 never conquered Venus. It delayed defeat long enough to use the time it had left. The original Venera 13 surface imagery appears again. But it no longer looks the same. At first, those images seemed to be proof that a spacecraft had survived the impossible. Now they look like something else. They look like evidence gathered during a disappearing opportunity. The clock was never counting down to success or failure. It was counting down to the end of access. As the spacecraft worked through its remaining time, it collected measurements from a world that shares important similarities with Earth, yet arrived at a dramatically different outcome. The images, the soil analysis, and the surface data became part of a much larger effort to understand how that happened. The value of those extra minutes was not the survival itself. The value was what survival made visible. The same measurements that arrived before communication stopped remain important for understanding Venus and the history of its climate. They helped reveal a world transformed by runaway greenhouse warming into a place where long-term surface survival is nearly impossible. Seen from that perspective, the mission changes meaning. The countdown was never the story. The knowledge gained before the environment permanently closed the window was the story. The remaining minutes purchased observations that could not be recovered after the spacecraft fell silent. It never defeated Venus. It survived long enough to make defeat useful.